I'm going to teach you how to make complex car shapes in Blender. I've received this work in progress model of this Porsche from one of my patrons, and he wanted me to make this shape right here. So here's how I would do that. First, I'm going to take this part right here because I want this shape to be perfectly aligned with this lower part. So I'm going to select an edge loop right here, P to separate it to new object. Now extrude, right click and lower it down. Then I'll select everything, Alt E, extrude faces along normals. And we're going to push this outwards a little bit to create this lip. We're gonna check even offset down here. And I don't know exactly how far out this is supposed to go, but I can kind of eyeball it based on the reference here. I think it's supposed to be something sort of like this. If it's a little bit more or less, it doesn't fucking matter. Now we have a subdivision surface modifier applied to this. So this inner part is rounded, which creates a big gap between the body and this lip here. So first I'm going to delete this face at the end here. Then I'll select this face loop with Alt right click, X, delete faces. Now this is tightly wrapped around here. I'm first going to create a loop cut out here. That's going to create this little gap here between this plate on the side and the outer edge of this lip. To sharpen these edges here, I'm going to select them, then press N, and in the item menu we're going to set the mean crease to 1. That's just a temporary solution. Later we're going to bevel this, but bevels are quite destructive, so I don't want to do that just yet. Now give me another loop cut here on the back side. That's going to allow me to create a gap between this thing and the edge back here. Now just a disclaimer, the purpose of this video is for me to show my patron how I would approach this and how the topology should flow on this object. I'm not trying to flawlessly recreate this. I'm just trying to show some tips as quickly as possible, and then if somebody wants to create this for themselves, they can spend more time using the technique that I'm showing you. You understand what I'm saying? Now I'm going to select these two faces right here, extrude them up, then give me these edges from the side and slide them backwards. We're gonna make this whole thing a lot thinner, push all this backwards, and this is supposed to get up to somewhere around this line. So extrude this up, we can get rid of this edge loop, slide this edge down, slide this edge backwards, lower this one a little bit, and we can lift this one up, slide it backwards, and now we can use this face to extrude this back part here. We're going to make that completely flat in the back here. Try to roughly align it with this curve here, and this is all supposed to be very close to the body, so we're gonna bring it inwards a little bit, and it's also supposed to be a lot thinner. Now when we subdivide this surface, we're going to have great geometry here. We have perfect topology, which allows us to create this part over here. Notice how there's a sharp edge between this little surface and this surface over here. You can visualize this by selecting these edges and adding a mean crease here. Of course, we're gonna add some loop cuts down here probably later on. We're gonna have to make all this a lot thinner, slide this further inwards, maybe add some more geometry if we have to. Now you just have to kind of play around with this geometry until you get a result that you're looking for. We can delete this face in the back for now. Give me a crease back here, and of course we're gonna have to move some of this geometry around to give this a little bit of a better shape. We also might have to slide this, push this forwards, maybe bring all this forwards as well. And now we're getting into the ballpark of the shape that we're trying to get here. Notice how I'm trying to use as little geometry as possible. If I have a whole bunch of edges all over the place, it's going to be very difficult to adjust the shape. So I'm trying to keep this shape as simple as possible, and then later if I need to add some smaller details, I can apply some subdivision surface and I can add some shit like these little parts over here and whatever else we're gonna need. So for now, the less geometry we have, the better. That's also the reason why I'm not beveling this yet. I know bevels look a lot better than creases, but we're going to add those later when everything is ready. Now we need to add this shape in the back. To create that, I'm going to use the edges which I created here with this loop cut earlier. I'm still gonna keep this as is because I need to have a little gap here, but this vertex over here I'm going to slide inwards, and it might be a wise idea to also add a loop cut like this below so that we can have the same shit at the top and the bottom, and that way it's gonna be easier to close this afterwards. But I'm going to bring these vertices very close to the end here. Now slide this inwards with double G, get this shit out of the way, also push this forwards, and you see how now we have edges aligned here perfectly to create this part. It's almost exactly the shape that we're looking for. Of course we can still push this further forwards, but now we just have to extrude this up and bring it somewhere over here, and we're gonna add some more geometry here with some loop cuts to make this into a curve. Now we just have to figure out a way to connect all this. So first of all, again, we're going to have a little step here, so we can't just connect these two vertices like this. Instead, we're gonna have to add a loop cut on the inside here. It's getting hard to see what I'm doing, so I'm gonna push this to the side a little bit, and this little surface underneath here, which I'm selecting right now, I'm going to try to make that a little bit more flat so it's a bit easier to work with. Something like this will do. This can stay at an angle, and to make this little step here, I can delete these vertices, and watch what I'm about to do. I'm going to try to connect this vertex here, this one here, and this one here. Now we still have to keep the shape of this thing, so we can slide this vertex forward, bring this one inwards a little bit with double G, Slide this one forwards as well, and we should probably push this one backwards a little bit. Now see how easy it is to connect this, and it still looks quite natural. We just have to make some minor adjustments to the shape. We don't want to have any twisting going on these faces. And I gotta clean out this geometry on the inside a little bit, so I'll dissolve some of these edges. Tear this, push it inwards with double G. Give me a loop cut over here. We're gonna connect that over here with the 3D cursor. Join this with J, merge by distance. And now we have better flow on this surface as well. So now I can very easily make this step by adding a loop cut right here. Delete these vertices. Place my cursor over here with my 3D cursor as a pivot point. I'm gonna push this all the way to the back. Now I can lower this edge down, and now just bring back my subdivision surface. Give me a loop cut on the inside here and bring that up to the top. And I think that's quite close to the shape we're looking for here. With some more minor adjustments to the positions of the vertices and edges, we can definitely get the correct shape here. Now I'm gonna do a little bit more tweaking. Maybe another loop cut over here. Push the edges forward to make this a bit curved. Slide some of this geometry back and forth a little bit so that these curves have approximately the same shape. And now the rest should be quite simple. We just have to fill in this backside. Let's start with these faces. We're gonna extrude all this backwards a little bit like this. Now we can close this. Loop cut here to close this. It's easier to work with no subdivision and flat shading. Fill this, loop cut, close this, close this. We need another loop cut over here to close this properly. And then we can just fill this, loop cut here, merge by distance, fill this, loop cut, and just figure out a way to fill this shit at the top here as well. It looks like we can just get rid of this entire edge loop over here. And now you can even add some triangles over here. It doesn't really matter. We're going to fill this here, triangle here. I think that's going to be all right once we crease this or bevel this or whatever. Again, if you're doing this for real, you're probably going to want to play around with this shape a little bit more to correct the curves a little bit. The topology overall should look something like this. Lastly, we have to add these little things, and this is going to be very easy, believe it or not. Get rid of my subdivision surface. We have to make sure that we have a decent amount of geometry here and here. Make sure that you have the same number of edges here and here. We can't fuck this up. Clean this up. We're going to select all the vertical edge loops here and also on the other side. Then give me loop tools space, loop tools relax, and now this is going to be aligned a little bit better. So we have 3 faces on the inside here and 3 faces on the inside here. We're going to need more geometry, so let's add 3 loop cuts to each of these segments. Now we're stepping into dangerous territory because it's hard to reverse these types of changes. So before you do something like this, you might want to duplicate your object and place it to the side somewhere. In case you don't have enough undo steps when you fuck up, you can always just bring this one back. Again, give me loop tools space, loop tools relax, and now we got damn near perfect geometry for this. If you want to, you can add another loop cut over here, and this is going to define the outside of this little shape. I'm going to do that so I can select these faces and connect them with 2 faces on the inside over there. Now just go loop tools, bridge, do another one down here somewhere. I'm not using reference here because again, I don't care if this is perfectly accurate in this particular example. If you're doing this for real, you're gonna be more careful with this shit. And later when you add a subdivision surface modifier to this, you're of course gonna have to add some more geometry over here to tighten this shit up a little bit better. You might have to take some of the faces from the front like this, and with individual origins scale them down to make this a little bit sharper and thinner. Now let's do some more minor adjustments. I'm just gonna slide some of these edges around to fix this curve a bit. And now when you're finished, it's also a good time to remove all your creases and try to replace those with bevels as much as possible. When you bevel a complex shape like this, it's a good idea to bevel everything simultaneously, because when you do that, your bevels are going to be connected and the geometry is going to be cleaner. For example, back here, if I bevel this first, then I get an n-gon, so beveling this is a whole different story. But if I bevel everything together, the geometry is formed in a way where we don't have any weird n-gons, and it's just going to flow a little bit better. Again, it's hard to undo this shit, so make sure that you're finished when you start adding bevels. And then once you add your bevels, your shape should be good to go. You should be able to do this even better than me because I'm rushing right now for the video. But that's how you create fucked up shapes on cars. Let me know if you want me to make some more videos modeling complex car shapes like this. If you guys are interested in this, we can do it for real, and we can really try to make this look a lot better. Anyway, let me know what you want to see next. Like the damn video, and I'll see you in the next one.